to me. I let you in. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my two fellow possessed spirits,
Mike Cunningham
and
Shae.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we'll be reviewing Talk to Me. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. For everyone else, great to have you back. We like to review movies, and specifically, movies we really like, especially in this case. So how we always do our podcast is we won't spoil anything in the first 15 minutes or so. We'll give you a spoiler-free review from 0 to 5. Then we'll give you some background on the movie, and then we'll start giving you a play-by-play and talking through the movie. So if you haven't seen Talk to Me yet, don't worry, you can still listen to the first 15, 20 minutes. Then you can decide, hey, maybe I should see this movie, maybe I shouldn't, and we'll go from there. But, are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Shae, let's start with you. What do you give the movie? 0 to 5.
All right. I've been thinking about this one.
All right.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
Don't attack me. Yeah, I just, from the themes, and I think, I was thinking about it on my drive up here, I feel like maybe some of the different themes and motifs, like, I took more personal because I've dealt with grief.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that was the theme you saw throughout with Mia. Like, she was struggling through grief. Even, like, the title itself, like, the whole talk to me thing, like, her, you know, her dad trying to, like, communicate with her throughout the whole movie, like, just begging for her to, like, you know, to talk to him. And I remember when my stepdad died, that was something that everyone was kind of like, talk to me, you know, like, I'm here for you. So just, there was a bunch of different things. I think it was well constructed. I wasn't like a huge fan of the Rocka Brothers, like, growing up, the directors. Like, I saw some of their things, but I think it was like a really good, like, you know, first piece for them to do. So yeah, it's quality horror. You know, it's good. So yeah.
Why would we attack you for this? Are you thinking others are giving it lower? Or?
I do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but people in my horror community, at least.
Gotcha.
They are giving it a little bit low. Like, it's good, but they're not going to give it an 8 or a 9.
Gotcha.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So, well, yeah.
Cool. Mike, you haven't seen it, but would you like to give it a 0 to 5?
Based on an unbiased opinion. But no, that's interesting that you said that people aren't, because I think maybe it's possibly like the fact that hype really often ruins people's feelings for films.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I think this one was like really hyped up. It's not an American film, it's Australian, so like that takes away from the fact that it didn't get a big market push until it got over here for its premiere. And then when it did come out, kind of a quiet opening, and then it built from word of mouth and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see that even though it's been building since it's American or a domestic release, that still people that are true fans of horror don't see it as, which is nice because of the fact that you don't want something to get you. It's like I don't want you to dick ride just because of the fact that everybody else is right. You do want an honest opinion. Yeah. Regardless of, you know, like how other people are feeling about it or selling it. So
yeah, and and I won't say their name, but someone specifically, they work for Bloody Disgusting, which I don't know if you guys are familiar or not, but that's one of the big, that's the horror, like that's the biggest horror page group, whatever there is. I think they're responsible for what's the clown, Art the Clown.
Terrifier.
Bloody Disgusting made Terrifier.
Gotcha.
So they can go straight to hell.
But that's how big they have gotten as a website, as a group, whatever. And he works for Bloody Disgusting. And I remember we were discussing on Instagram that he was like, I'm a little cold on it. Not as, you know, so like the people that I was talking to about it were kind of like saying, oh, you know, like it was good, but it wasn't living up to the hype for me either. So I think, you know, I was kind of like, am I the only one? This is fucking phenomenal. Like, this shit's great. This is a great fucking movie. So I wasn't sure if you guys are going to be like,
Fair. No, for sure. Yeah. And hype does definitely mess stuff up. You know, for sure. Like, you know, fun fact, when Felicia and I first started dating, she'd be like, oh, this place is amazing, you're going to love it. And I'd be like, oh, it's okay. But also because, like, she would hype it up. Like, this place is so good. So I'd have, like, high expectations, and I'd just be let down every time.
Right.
But this was not a movie for that for me. I give it a 4 to 5. I thought it was great. I loved this movie. I thought it was really, really good. Not a 4.5 out of 5, but still like a 4 out of 5. It was a very solid movie. Definitely, I can see. I mean, there were some parts. I mean, it was still a lower budget horror movie, and but it was pretty original. You know, like there aren't a lot of movies like this, so I love the originality of it. I loved like the dynamic of everything. So you could say that maybe it sunk a little bit into like B-level horror, you know, of things, but I really liked it. I thought story was great. I completely agree with like the metaphors. I'm looking at how Mia's dealing with all of her like loss and how that's why she was so susceptible. And that's why so many things happened to this movie, is because she wasn't in a place where she could actually deal with her grief and her loss. And part of it was, I think, relationships with father, because father was trying to let her in, father was trying to talk to her, but still doing it his way, not necessarily what she needed. So that really hurt her as well. And there was a whole bunch of other things. So you apply that on top of a legitimately pretty scary scenario that's happening right now. I thought it was great. I really liked it going through, I think, for just thinking of horror movies that have come out recently that are more original and are really great, Barbarian and Talk to Me. Maybe I like Barbarian slightly more than Talk to Me, but both of good original horror movies that have come out, I've really enjoyed it. I think, so Shae and I are saying, go see Talk to Me. If you haven't seen it yet, you should see it.
Absolutely go see it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Cunningham. Let's go
see it.
Let's go see Talk to Me.
You can close your eyes
Soon as Scooby-Doo does it. When Scooby and the gang are like, all right, talk to me, or walk to me. Wow.
Yeah, walk to me. Walk to me.
All if it's Scooby approved, I'll watch it.
Jeez, gang. All right. But yeah, so we think it's pretty great. So we're still not going to spoil anything yet. Let's get into some background of this movie.
Okay. So, Shae, you can help me out whenever, with whatever your facts you have. So, Talk to Me came out, was released at least in the U.S., July 28th, 2023. The runtime is an hour and 35 minutes. The budget was $4.5 million. To date, I think the box office is at $40 million worldwide.
So what was the budget again?
4.5 million.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So, it's made about, 10 times the
Yeah.
budget, which is great. The Rotten Tomatoes score, you have 95 for the critics, 82 for audiences.
Okay.
Which maybe now you're seeing how true horror fans are feeling about it. Not that it's bad, but
Well, you have to remember, we're refined critics, so
Yeah.
you have to understand the regular people that can't think about things.
And just so I'm clear,
Yeah.
I don't think any of the horror people that I discuss on Twitter or on social media.
Shae was talking shit, yo.
No, I don't think that they were saying it was bad.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this last time with Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
It was, people were saying that it was so good. It was
Yeah.
so good. So their responses were, I was a little cold on it actually compared to other people. Or I don't think I liked it as much as, it's not living up to the hype for me.
Fair.
So I think it would always end with, it's a good horror movie.
Fair. Yeah.
But, don't go into it thinking it's going to be the best horror movie you've seen this year.
So do you think there's a disparity between true horror fans and people that just watch horror, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's just I like being scared versus because it's to see the different tropes of horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or understanding that, but there's people that was just oh no, I get certain things that are going on within horror.
I'm not going to say that because I'll get called a pretentious piece of shit.
I think it's just understanding too, right? So just even when we were talking about the idea of a B movie or what we were earlier about the Meg, right? Mm-hmm. It's not something I like because I don't like dumb shit. In my mind. That sounded disrespectful.
No, I know.
Right?
Stand by. Jason Stathams gonna come and beat your ass, man. He's gonna come.
You know what I say. Look me up, Derek Daniels. I don't use my real name. But it was just but for people who love, that's why Sharknado popped off, or even the original Meg, is because of the fact that fans that like that are whatever they needed, they got.
Yeah.
So and the same thing with certain horror, people that love horror didn't get what they needed from the horror movie, but for people who just wanted to be scared or something like that, they did get that from that, type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's good even if you're used to traditional jump scare horror. I think you're still gonna like it.
Yep.
If you quote unquote, I'm not using these quotes, I'm just saying what people in the horror community are using these days. If you elevated horror,
Okay.
I think you will like it as well. It's well constructed in general.
Because I was about to say, you mentioned that I think this one spoke to you because of the idea of dealing with grief, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just is that something that's often dealt with in horror? Which I would assume they do find a way to make whatever you're going through tangible in a way. So just there's a boogeyman that's following you because of the fact that somebody passed away or what you're dealing with. I think maybe horror does that often, and that's not something that the casual fan would see as no, that's just a scary motherfucker that's following you. But you can interpret as a true horror fan can interpret it as something way bigger or something more existential.
And nowadays, there's actually, so I'm going to let you know early, because I have one of my weeks, so I do my Halloween thing every year, where each week I do a different genre.
Yeah.
This year I'm doing, it's literally just grief horror, because an A24 is actually very familiar with that.
Absolutely. It's like Hereditary.
Midsommar.
Yep, okay.
Babadook, I don't think they're A24, but I am doing Babadook this year.
Okay.
That's really heavy on the grief thing. So yeah, I think they are really, that's very common in horror, but it's specifically very common in elevated horror, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Because I think, so for example, I just went and saw this with someone that didn't read it at all the way I interpreted it.
Okay.
Or, for example, Babadook. So I read this as just how you dealing with grief and when you don't process your trauma and what the consequences of that can be. But someone else seeing Babadook just this is just a really scary movie.
Gotcha.
So I think it's up to interpretation. But that is a very common theme now, especially in contemporary horror. You're gonna see a lot of that grief and and trauma.
So so Rotten Tomatoes 95, 82 for the audience. Genre horror mystery thriller, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, twins from Australia. I think, like you said earlier, this is their directorial debut. And it's interesting. I think we've done at least one or two directorial debut movies this year. The other one was Polite Society, which was good, but we felt how we felt about it. But the cast, we have Sophie Wilde as Mia, Alexandra Jensen as Jade, Joe Bird as Riley, Miranda Otto as Sue, Zoe Tariq, as Haley, and Otis Danji, as Daniel.
Okay.
And then I didn't have a tagline for this one, so this is all the background that I have. I know you had a few. Trivia or something like that, if anything? Something about I know there was 6 hands created just in case.
Oh, I have some fun facts.
Yeah, fun facts.
I like fun facts.
But there's actually not that much. Okay, so we'll just do it. So, so I didn't get a ton, but some things I saw. So there were 6 hands made just in case any got broke.
That's fun.
I mean, that's
Love
fun
it.
enough. And then something that I realized after the film, and it's actually, and we won't get too involved in this, but this was kind of frustrating for me. So this film was actually banned in Kuwait.
Oh, okay.
And it was only banned because Zoe, who plays Haley, is a trans actor.
Okay? Got you.
And I want to make sure that I'm not misgendering, because I don't know if it's they, them, so I'll just say they, or if it's whatever it is. And I think they responded on social media about it. And it really hit home. Not hit home personally for me, but just I kind of empathize with them, because there are no LGBTQ elements in this film.
No.
There are no trans elements in this film. So they banned this film not because of the content of it, but solely because there was a trans actress, whatever, in
That's
this
wild,
film.
Yeah.
And Kuwait's known for doing that. They've done it before. And I wish I would have wrote down their exact quote. But they talk about, how dangerous that is, but just what it means for people that are part of the LGBTQ community that live in Kuwait.
Yeah.
Because, I don't personally get it, I don't think. Okay, if they banned the film because there was a trans character in the film, I don't get behind it.
And there was a storyline based on
or something.
it. Yeah.
Okay, that's
But
your
just
ideology.
existing.
They banned that film just because this person existed.
Yeah.
And that, that alone that's frustrating. And as a trans actor, they're going to get more roles. I think from this, they've actually gotten a role on Netflix now. And so, that's not a fun fact. There's nothing fun about that. But I thought that was really interesting. And they did put a link on their Instagram to donate to a certain cause.
Okay.
To kind of stop that. So maybe you guys can put it in your show notes just to kind of get the word out there. So,
absolutely, yeah. And then Kuwait just doesn't get good movies, so...
you get to miss out on this phenomenal...
That's what happens to you,
film.
Kuwait. Granted, it's a whole country, so I can't fight a country, but...
Oh, and the last fun fact. So we talked about the Babadook a little bit. Christina Satan, she was a producer on the Babadook.
Okay.
And she worked on this film. I think she was a writer, I'm not exactly sure what she did, but, so people compare this film because of the... I'm dealing with depression or dealing with grief. They compare this film a lot to The Babadook. So I thought that was really interesting that she wrote on The Babadook or worked on The Babadook.
I actually have not seen The Babadook, so. Yeah, I know. I've been a pretty huge scaredy cat in my life as well. No. So the fact that I've watched this many horror movies is pretty crazy.
You should watch that. It's my top 10 of all time.
Okay.
It's so good.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, fun fact, Barbarian was the first time I ever went by myself to a horror movie ever. And that came out. Yeah, that was the first time ever. And I was like, I can do this. I'm 28 or 29 now. I'll be okay. So yeah.
I was going to say your age. I'm a man. I pay taxes most years.
Exactly. Every year. I do. Government, I pay taxes every year. And I don't take deductions.
This is weird how you have to hype yourself up. I did a joke with my cousin whenever I feel stupid. I said, I have a degree.
Exactly. Look, sir.
I don't know why I start sentences. First of all, I have a degree. Thank you for asking.
And second of all, you're a big doo-doo face. That's my case.
But yeah, that's all the background that we have. So
beautiful. All right, so before we start getting into our play-by-play, a quick word from our sponsors. First and foremost, me. Hi, my name is Edward Hunt again. I'm an agent on the Just Be team with Compass. Just Be, we are all about finding where you're meant to be. And the DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if you would like any advice on the market, if you would like to be connected with some phenomenal lenders, or you need a handyman or contractor, please feel free to reach out at any time. Also, a great thing with Compass being a nationwide brokerage is we are nationwide. So if you need to have an agent in, let's say, South Dakota, I can connect you with a great agent over there as well. Also, Hunt.comics. I have a comic that when this drops, it will be printed and have been sent to people, and it should be online as well, but we'll get to that. Shae, you mentioned, especially with October coming up, do you have anything you want to plug or anything? Or cool, nice, yeah.
No, not of now. I have something coming out in November, but
Perfect, cool, absolutely.
Keep an eye out for that.
That sounds good. Keep an eye out for it, but for now, shh.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's get started. So this movie opens with a party of sorts. Seems like a pretty happening party. And Australia, I guess, just has great parties. Because Project X was also in Australia, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Project X was in Australia as well. And it's just common knowledge that teenagers in Australia just party freaking hard.
I think they had American accents in.
Yeah.
No, maybe the original was.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But you're right, because Miles Teller was in it.
Yes, so like the American, but then the original party that it was based off of was in Australia.
Good to know.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So it opens with a guy looking for Duckett. Mm-hmm. He's going through, he's pretty frantic with everything. He's like, where's Duckett? Where's Duckett? Have you seen him? And then he's told Duckett's behind this door. So this is where you see from that trailer of just bang, 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 breaking the door down. And then you see Duckett, who's a little emaciated, all kind of hunched over, scratches on his back, looking a little messed up. Yeah. But he then grabs him, takes him with him. And then what happens, Shae? What happens next?
So
that's put you on the spot. Yeah.
No. Let me. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe he stabs his brother.
Yep.
Duckett.
So Duckett, the emaciated, scratched up kid, grabs a knife.
And brother's name is Cole.
Yes.
And then he stabs himself right through the face.
Clunk. Yeah. So stabs Cole right in the upper chest. That's definitely a collapsed lung. Duckett then goes outside, looks around for a second, and just stabs himself in the face. Falls over dead. Talk to me goes across the screen. As cold openings go, I love a great cold open.
I do too. I love a great cold open.
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with. I love the cold open.
Yep.
But I think I think it sets you up to think that this is going to be a high kill count.
Fair.
And it's not, which I don't need a high kill count.
Nope.
I don't. It's a phenomenal movie. I'm going to say that a bunch of times.
Remember, us elevated horror aficionados don't need high kill counts. Right?
I'm not an elevated. I don't want to. Do not give me that title. I'm going to get hate comments. I'm not. But I think it. I feel like it could have. I don't know. It's fine. I think it's fine the way it is. I just feel like it sets you up thinking that there's going to be a high kill count. There's going to be a lot of action similar to the way it opens, and it doesn't necessarily go on to do that.
And spoiler, there's not.
But it goes on to do other great things. So.
Yeah. But I didn't even think about that. But I totally agree, because how this is, like, other cold opens, like, Evil Dead, for instance. Like, you see that, and that movie is filled with kills just like it. Versus Talk to Me opens up with that kill, and you don't even get another kill for the longest time.
To the end.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to spoil it all.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
No.
But think about like A Quiet Place. Opens up with that little kid getting killed.
Yeah.
And you don't get a high kill count in that either.
True.
So, and that's another great film.
I was yelling about A Quiet Place earlier because it was just like, I get it, but the concept of Quiet Place pissed me off because of the fact that I'm tired of like post-apocalyptic shit where it's like the first thing we're gonna do is procreate in this world. And it was like, so you can't make a sound, right? But you're gonna have the world's quietest baby.
Have a baby. Yeah.
My baby.
Go home, doctor. It's not only mine. You're gonna have the quietest labor. Number one. You're gonna have the world's quietest baby.
Yeah.
Okay, go, please, walk me through it.
Meanwhile, there's no hospitals, something goes wrong, what are you going to do?
It always gets me mad in apocalypse, like, people try to, I get it, trying to keep some sense of normalcy, but it was just like, we don't need to keep these constructs.
No.
There's nothing to place anymore.
Especially if survival is your number one goal here.
We need to add to this collection.
Yeah.
The survival of the human race is my biggest goal. So that's what I'm trying to give you.
Let's get safe. They were playing quiet chess. The world's quietest game. And they had to make it quieter.
So from there, after this great cold open, but I do agree with Shae's point, we were then transported to, and we see Mia, and she is at a memorial for her mom. So we don't really know all the details yet, but she's wearing all black, people are coming in to check on her, and then she kind of just goes back into her house, and again, you don't fully know what's going on besides this is definitely a memorial of sorts, or maybe even a funeral, because you're not told yet. And then her dad comes to talk to her, and he's like, hey, how are you doing today? What's going on? What's going on? And he's trying to get her to open up. She's not opening up to him. It's definitely kind of this weird, awkward situation. It's almost making it look like the dad's the bad guy in this situation. And she's saved by the phone because there's another young child. That's Riley, right?
Yes.
The name.
Little brother?
Yeah, little brother's Riley, yeah. So Riley calls her. And when that happened, and he was like picking to, Riley calls Mia to pick her up, and I was like, is that her brother? And why wasn't he at this? I was very confused, but they seemed like a great brother-sister combination, but I was like, okay, but why wasn't he at this place? But she goes to pick up Riley. Riley's hanging at a skate park with his fellow skate punk friends, as one does, and they drive, and she's picking him up.
Something happens right before they start driving. It's his friend offers him a cigarette, and he ends up taking it.
Yes.
Which I think kind of is gives a little bit of backstory about Riley, because he's right at that age where you may fall.
He's impressionable.
And you may fall to peer pressure, which explains a little bit as we go on, kind of some of the things that happen to him. So I think that they were trying to give us a little insight about Riley, what he's and that's I don't fault him for that. He's 14.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then they start driving, and remind me for this. She doesn't hit it; it's there already, right? Okay. So then, as they're driving along, because we're in Australia, there's a kangaroo because kangaroos are everywhere in Australia apparently, and they're good at fighting. But this one was hit by a car. They go up to it, and it's clearly suffering. It's bleeding. It's a lot of pain. And then Riley's basically begging Mia to kill us.
Put her out of his misery, and she doesn't. And then I think that's another, some more foresight into something that happens later on. She's not able to put this thing out of its misery. Very speaking to her situation and speaking to what happens later.
Right.
Because she even's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then she goes to drive and run it over, and it stops, and it goes around. Yeah.
Which I think, I was just going to say, I think it goes back to the grief theme, and
Yeah, definitely. So then we learn that Riley is the younger brother of one of her best friends, Jade, right? And they go to her house. Something that Mia does, which I personally don't understand, is she steps all over her friend's bed with shoes on. she is wearing shoes.
And that is a white man.
Oh, jeez, I just looked at this like, good heavens. All right,
I think that's also why I can't go to a horror movie, because my man!
What are you doing?
Just yelling at the screen.
Yeah, man, she's full fuck your bed. It's slapping on it. God damn. Yeah.
I'm just at the door. Oh, so we comfortable, huh? Sex with my wife too? The fuck is going on?
Good God. Yeah, that was rough to watch. All I can say. That was probably the scariest part of the movie for me.
She's like, oh, she's gonna get ants.
Where have your shoes been? All right.
That's the thing about Jade. Like, she doesn't look up one time.
No.
She walks across her bed, doesn't look up. She's like talking to her. He's like, "Hey, like, you paying attention to me?" Doesn't talk to her. So like, I think a lot of people were real pro Jade. And I'm not saying Mia is not the best character either. She has her flaws. I get it, and maybe I give her more excuses because I understand the grief, what she's going through. But Jade's not the best character either. Like, she's not necessarily. I think she tries to be there for her friend as much as she can. Yeah. But she's not.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's obsessed with her boyfriend.
Phone,
yeah.
And it's the day that it's a 1-year anniversary that her mother died.
Yeah.
And she's asking about the memorial, talking about the memorial, and you're sitting there on your phone like, yeah. Cool. So,
well, that's what's interesting. You have the distance from Jade, and then the dad trying to help her, and like the person that she is reaching out to isn't listening, and the person that's trying to reach out, she's ignoring.
Yeah.
But it's weird as to why. I guess we'll learn later in the film as to why possibly. But it's interesting that you do have an outlet that you're not utilizing, and the one that you do try to use, you don't actually take it, isn't paying attention.
Yeah. But you do it's very clear that Jade and Mia are good friends, or they've been really good friends in the past, without even being told. You also see in the car Jade and Mia and Riley's relationship is really strong, and then Jade and Riley's mother comes home around this time as well, and the mother comes and checks on her. So Mia is definitely close with this family, and they filled in. It seems like, because the mother asked "Oh, have you been?" And that's when we really learned it's been a year since her mom died, if I remember correctly, or something around that. Yeah. And then so we were like, this family has definitely filled in, in her mother's absence or passing. So she's really close with all of them. We kind of fast forward a little bit here. Nothing super crazy is happening besides we know that Jade is dating someone that Mia dated way in the past. But okay. And then there's a party to go to now, apparently. And in this party, you see these people just tweaking out. Like, all black eyes, foaming at the mouth, tweaking out, shaking in chairs. And you're like, okay, interesting, what's going on? But the party they go to, I guess we can now discover this. So they then head over to that party. So it's going to be Mia, Jade, Riley does come along as well.
Yeah, and that's something interesting too. Riley comes along only because Mia allows it. Jade is Jade is more like, no, from her perspective, I get it. You're kind of looking out for your little brother, or you just don't want your little brother at a party where people are going to be drinking and doing whatever.
Doing ghost possessions.
Right.
Not even once, kids. Not even once.
I can't talk. I do the weed.
Where did you learn this? I learned from you. But yeah. So yeah, and then also Jay's boyfriend does come along a little bit later. So then we're in there. So then we see at this party, the main party favor is there's this weird hand that's encased in...
It's an embalmed hand.
It's an embalmed hand, but it's in plaster or something like that as well to make sure the hand can stay fresh, I suppose. And the party game is you touch the hand, you say, talk to me, and then you have to say, I let you in.
Well, first you say, talk to me, and then a spirit comes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in order to be possessed, you have to say, I'll let you in.
Yes. Yeah. And the key is 90 seconds. You can't let...
So there's rules to it, and there's, once again, I think we talked about this earlier, it was just bro, I'm tired of people not following the rules to movies.
Yeah.
Gremlins. I call it the gremlin effect. Yeah. I told you these were 3 rules.
It's not that hard. Yeah. Don't feed them after midnight. No water.
And the third one. The third rule. Whatever that was. I can never remember.
I'm curious, how do they, who comes, realizes these rules? How do you develop these rules? It's a 90-second thing. How did Haley and Dan? Yeah. How did you determine?
Because Daniel got it, and then Daniel and Haley are friends.
Yeah. So so who said, okay, it's 90 seconds? You get this embalmed hand that's possessed by, someone that's,
Well, Duckett told him.
I think that might be very much
How did Duckett find out?
Someone told Duckett.
I was listening to that, and I'm like, well, 90 seconds? How did you determine that, okay, this is
I feel like it's very much one of those things where, you just, something that's you accept as an audience, and then it was just explain. You don't just, whoever gets the hand next doesn't just get it. It is passed along.
Yeah.
So it's not like some Jumanji shit or
Which even
the wish box.
Bad though. So let's say Duckett passed it on to Haley and Dan, or Haley and
Daniel, you're right.
No, because Daniel's the boyfriend. Who's the other guy?
Blanking on him, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's say that Duckett passed it on to Haley. Why would you pass this on if you know that you're possessed? Like I kept.
Well, part of that might also be because, and he does. This is skipping it slightly. Is when he gave it to, he technically Duckett gave it to Haley's friend.
Yes.
And then he's like, the guy was like, oh well, Duckett gave it to me because he said he doesn't need it anymore because he can talk to the spirits without. So honestly, the spirits also might have, gave it, kind of told him to give it to someone else as well.
Okay. I'll be behind that.
And to answer your question, I mean, it's a scientific method. All right, you definitely have people just jotting stuff down in notes. We're like 74 seconds.
All right,
I'm good. All right. Ghosts? Are you still here, ghosts? No, I'm good. All right, cool. 15.
Once again, it was product testing.
Yeah.
This is what we know.
This is just me sitting in the theater questioning stuff that doesn't matter anyway.
For sure.
Okay.
Or it's also kind of like, like urban legends and like everything.
Shit was said that's 90 seconds.
There you go.
Where's your laptop clipboard? Right? Do you still see?
Y'all, it's cutting it close.
But yeah, so that's the main party favor. There are these rules that need to follow. It's also very clear as soon as Mia walks in that she's an outcast. Haley is not nice to Mia at all. She was like, "Why the fuck are you here?" And I'm pretty sure she says some kind of like. She didn't say slag, but she had said something similar to that, like some kind of Australian, lingo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, why is she here? Because Mia is very clearly an outcast. Yeah. But while there's, and it's Mia also, it's kind of obvious she is awkward. Granted, it is like literally the day her mother passed.
Was she an outcast prior to her mother passing?
They don't really go into it. But
because you kind of, there's always like I feel like horror movies especially do this thing with like. They do the disparity of the best friends, whereas like you do have the emo chick and the cheerleader or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious as to.
I feel like they make it clear that Jade is popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that she brought her friend with her.
But I'm curious to see if
that makes me think it was after Mia's mother passed, just because Jade and Mia have been friends for a really long time.
That's why I was curious, because to get that reaction, obviously that's her friend, like. It's not brand new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go on.
Obviously, you should ask the writers this question, but Edward Hunt of the Meddling Kids said this is canon. Mia was very popular before her mother passed, and that's canon, damn it. All right, but
maybe they'll come on into your podcast and answer all these questions,
and they can just cuss me out and be like, "How fucking dare you speak for me?" I would love for you to have to come on the podcast and cuss me out. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mia, as also feeling kind of like an outcast. When they bring out the hand, they're looking for volunteers. So I think Mia does it partially as a way to say like, hey, look, I can hang out with everybody. She volunteers first. And then when she volunteers first, they go through these rules that we already talked. You hold the hand, you sit, like you light a candle. You have to light the candle.
Yes.
Then you say, talk to me. Mm-hmm. You see the ghost, and then you have to say, I let you in. Then the ghost goes inside you. You can't have the ghost in you for longer than 90 seconds, and you need to put out the candle as well. Because it's candle first, because that opens the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she goes for it. So the first time she does it, and everyone, and Jade especially thinks it's totally fake. A lot of people think it's fake. But Jade touches the hand, the candle's lit, Jade touches the hand, she says, talk to me, and she sees this crazy old dude first. And you're like, what the fuck was that? Mm-hmm. And pretty good jump scare there.
Wait, I'm sorry. No, the first time we don't see what she sees.
I could have sworn it was an old dude.
The first time, not the first time. We don't see what she sees. I mean, I still remember that.
Yeah.
So she jumps.
Oh, okay, yes.
And that's all we see is her reaction. We don't see what she sees yet.
Fair.
And then we do get that great, like, the makeup and the prosthetics and the black eyes, which I was so impressed
I like the drowned lady kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or no, I'm sorry, Mia, like the special effects on Mia herself, or the veins and like the black eyes and the contacts and all that, which we've seen that before in other like possession movies. Yeah. But I thought that was great.
And then you're saying after she says, "I let you in," right?
Yes.
She lets in the drowned lady, right? So we don't see the first one she does. And then she says, "Okay, I'll do it again," and then you see like this weird, gross bog woman.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It looks like and then she says, "I let you in," and yes, that crazy thing of like Mia's this tweaking out eyes, and it's great physical acting too, because you can see like the veins bulging on her throat while she's like freaking out. It was really cool.
That whole scene is so good. Even her acting too. Like I was at first remember being unsure about her just because I don't know what it was. I was kind of like, okay, is she gonna be able to pull this off?
Yeah.
And when she like changes and it possesses her.
Yeah.
And her voice changes.
Yeah.
And she's like talking in that voice, and then she's talking to Riley, and she's like saying like, "Well, we want you." And it's
we're
so
gonna split
good.
you open, boy.
It's
talking
so
to Riley.
Effective. It's really well done.
Because the big thing is, while she's tweaking out and all this stuff is happening, she's looking around the room, saying stuff to people, and then she says to Riley, "They want you. They want you," and it's creepy as shit. They're like, they want you, they're coming for you, they're gonna split you wide open, we like pretty little things like you, all this crazy shit. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's nuts. And Riley's terrified of this. And I don't blame him, because if people are getting possessed and saying this shit, hell yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
So then, when they're like, okay, comes close to 90 seconds to get it off, they try to take it off of her hand, but it's still stuck a little bit. So we see it gets to like 92 or 93. And I'm like, it's great because you think, 92, 93, they said 90 seconds, but maybe since it was only 92, 93, maybe it's not that bad. Well, we'll see. So that happens, Mia vouches for it and says, no, this is crazy. So then a bunch of other people try it. And it's just, that's like their fun little party game. They're like, though for the record, how she can say, that was amazing after whatever the fuck that was.
Well, I think it is very much like the concept of the film. I think the brothers were talking about how they went to a party and like it's very much a metaphor for drugs. I was
drug use.
For sure.
Drug use. So just like this idea, like they went to a party and somebody was reacting poorly to, I think it was like a heroin overdose or something like that.
Yeah.
And they noticed the fact that instead of helping, and I think that's just the way society is now, people were recording. That was like the thing. So that was a big part of why
everyone
did this movie. So it was
too.
like that was the thing. It was like teenagers not understanding the consequences of what they're doing. So it was like, you saw this happen to this girl, and it was just like, oh yeah, I'm next. And it was like you said, it was like, how the fuck you mean?
Why would you say this?
Throw that shit away. But it was like in that moment, it was just like, it is the thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can say similar. Like, so I have from a personal, not with the video recording, but there was I was in Puerto Rico with some friends, and we did ayahuasca, and it was I had a lovely trip. My other friend had a very lovely trip. Other friend, he was like rolling around on the floor, had accidentally knocked something over, and like it did not look like he was having a good trip.
Yeah.
But I will say, when I talked to him about it later, he was like, "Yeah, it was great." And I was like, okay, are you sure? Because I was like, I need to leave the room. I was like, whatever. I was like, also on ayahuasca, which is very similar to DMT. And I was like, hey, are you good? He's like, yeah, I'm totally fine. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave. Because I'm like, you're gonna harsh my buzz, man, if otherwise. So interesting, but that was my thought of that. Is like you just see this crazy physical reaction, but it's just like that was amazing.
Because it is I think in the trailer, even in the trailer, when somebody asked her how was it, she was like, "Oh, it was amazing."
Yep.
So it's like even whatever you're actually doing, I think it is kind of an out of body experience. So it's like you don't know what's going on, what the ghost is saying, but whatever you're feeling in that moment, is what's drawing you to wanting to do it again, type of thing.
And maybe she wasn't the best person to kind of take the advice from because of what she's going through.
Well, I think that's the big thing with this. It is her trying to feel something, right? Her dad tried to talk to her, she was ignoring him. She was trying to talk to Jade, she ignored her. So it's just like, in a way, like you said, this kind of talk to me. Whatever she needed to do to get somebody to reach out to respond to her, she did. So it's like, you're right, she was susceptible to, in the same way that Riley is, in a way, to the peer pressure. She's susceptible to the fact that like she just needs an outlet. She needs something. She needs to feel something. So
which honestly, then you just kind of, this movie is a metaphor for drugs and how it destroys people's lives. Because Mia is a young woman who is suffering because of stuff dealing with her past. She doesn't have a good way to cope for it. She turns to drugs. Like you could have easily taken this out of being a horror movie, and it just would have been a sad documentary of someone who now is doing heroin and overdoses. Like that's because she needs to cope, she needs to figure her shit out, and so she turns to drugs because she can't, and then her life spirals and tears apart. But at least for the party, it looks like it's a pretty fun party. You know, like everyone's having a good time, then they all just kind of head out, and you think, great, everything's okay. Riley, they're back now at Jade and Riley's house. Riley's terrified because of what happened, and you don't blame him.
What was said to him,
Riley goes to Jade and tries to sleep with her, or just be like, hey, like, I'm scared, and she's like, get the fuck out of my room, which, you know, kind of normal big sister stuff. Yeah. And so the fact that people were really pro Jade, honestly, I don't fully get.
I don't get it at all. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, Jade was there. She's a big sister.
They were just so anti Mia. I think that's what
Mia is a tough character to love unless you could even
unless you can relate
to her.
You can't.
Because she does make bad decisions.
She does.
But what do people?
And I think people like at some point people do blame her for what happens to Riley and all. So it's just like, if all you have is negatives towards this character, let's go to the beacon that is Jade.
That's Jade.
But it is understand. It's like taking a step back to understand.
You know? Yeah, because then what you see is Riley then goes to Mia. Mia comforts him, and then they're just like, okay, cool. They can sleep together. Not sexually, but sleep together on the same couch and totally fine. Which 100% being like a 14-year-old boy and the senior girl's letting you sleep, he probably has a huge crush on Mia, but that's just show aside.
I didn't read it. I didn't see any type of relationship
Yeah.
thing. I really did see it as another sister.
Yeah, absolutely.
To, you know,
Especially
as
how close they are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're really close. And I feel like exactly when he couldn't go to his sister, he went to Mia.
His sister. Yeah. His other sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go to sleep. Mia's then going, like, Riley falls asleep watching something on his phone. Mia, like, takes the phone, kind of tucks him in, and she lays back. And then you think everything's hunky-dory. You just get this slight little bog foot slither kind of going through. And like, oh shit, maybe Bog Lady is still around. I was kind of with Bog Lady. But so then next day we're at school. Mia still really wants to do the hand again because she really loved it. Jade did not, right? Or did Jade do it at the party?
So Jade didn't do it.
Yes.
She's the only one that doesn't do it.
At the party, yeah.
But I also think that Daniel, the boyfriend, wants to try it.
Fair, yeah.
So that's kind of what starts the conversation back with Haley and the friend about, hey, you want to come to my house? Mom's going to be gone around 9.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So then they go and approach Haley, who they're like, hey, we want to do this again. You know, come over, bring the hand, keep it small. We can't have like a real big party or anything, but we want to do the hand.
Which goes back to Jade. Like, okay, so when Daniel wanted to do it, okay, can you come to the house and bring the hand? Daniel, my boyfriend, wants to do it.
Yeah.
But when Mia was all about it, it's kind of like, okay, you know, well, it's fine. It's not real, you know. So it's just, I don't know. I just think she just wasn't that friend that she needed to be. And I know she let her into her family and she has good things about her, but I struggled with Jade that whole entire movie. So,
I didn't struggle with Jade as much, but I didn't think she, I didn't even realize people thought she was great. I was just like, she's a character and she's, you know, not necessarily like good or bad besides like being a little annoying at times for sure, but yeah. So Haley agrees. They all go. There is like this interaction of. It's also too. You see again Australian parents, man. So like Jade's mother is just like when they're like going out to the party, the first party, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna sneak out," and she's like, "No, I'm not gonna sneak out." She's like, "Okay, you're gonna sneak out. Don't wake me up when you leave."
Right.
Australian parents are just like, "Yeah, fucking come over and drink in this house. I don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
But so they go. They come. She's trying to figure out if there's going to be a party. Everyone says there's not going to be a party because there's not. It's just a couple people. They come over and they do the hand again. It starts with Mia does it again first, I believe. Do we see who she brings in this time?
They don't. So they turn this into like a. I don't remember. I don't think so. I remember they turn this into like a really cool like montage.
Yeah, it was a montage.
And they like add like a soundtrack to the background,
Yeah.
which it really does like you're not expecting what's about to happen
Exactly.
next. Because I remember I was sitting there like this is fun. Like
I feel like
so great
being that I know
party.
horror movies, I would have known. I was like, no. The calm before the storm.
Yeah. The shoe's going to drop for sure.
He's like, I wish they all could be. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
We all saw New Jack City. Like,
Cool. Yeah. So they have a bunch of like so it's all. I think everyone does it besides Jade and obviously the brother.
Daniel makes out with a dog. You know, it's very funny. Everyone's laughing at him. Mia does it again. Everyone's having a great time. Because the montage makes it look like a great party game. So then Riley, they're all packing up, but Riley really wants to do it. And he's just like, please let me do it. I really want to, etc. And Jade, his sister, is like, nope, absolutely not. Yeah. And then she walks out of the room.
Yeah, and I don't blame her for saying no. I get it. As an older sister, no, we're not. I haven't even done this yet. Yeah. I'm not fucking with this. This crazy shit. You're not either. Yeah.
But like, they just walk out of the room. I guess because people were making fun of Daniel because Daniel ran out or something like that. So she followed Daniel.
Or making fun of him about. No. I think she went first. No, Daniel follows her.
Okay.
She goes out first, and then Daniel follows her.
Got you. Okay, which is so dumb.
Which I would never leave my little brother.
Yeah, then take your brother with
you. But
you.
I think it's also maybe the assumption that he was following. I'm not trying to be a Jade apologist, but
so then Riley, as you so eloquently said before, turns to his other sister, and other sister, he's like, "What if I only do it for like 50 seconds, whatever?" And they like negotiate down to like 30 seconds instead. And they're like, "Okay, fine. For 30 seconds, you can do this because that's super far away from when this is. All right, 30 seconds, go for it." So Riley does it, and it's looking like everything's going well. After 30 seconds, they're going to stop, but a new ghost appears, or someone disguised as this new ghost, and that's Rhea, I believe. There's Mia's mother's name is Rhea, I think. But let's just call her Mia's mom, just to make sure I'm not butchering her name. But I'm pretty sure it was Rhea. But Mia's mom starts talking to Mia now at this point in time. So since Mia's mother is talking to her, Mia's like, "Wait, no, don't stop this. Don't end this. I need to talk to her." Terrible idea.
Which I don't fault her for.
No, you can't.
You don't, but it's just like, I think you can understand why like the mom, Jade's mom and Jade even felt some type of way because it was just like, I think it's one of those things where like understanding somebody's grief, but also don't make other people victims of your trauma or your grief type of thing.
Yeah,
It was like obviously you can't explain. It's weird. It's a weird place to be in, but it's also like we get you're going through something, but you made all these other people suffer because of what you were going through.
Understandable. But Jade's mom, doesn't know anything about the seance. They don't even explain this to her. Jade's mom thinks just, you gave him drugs, which is not a crazy assumption. You know me.
The way these kids happen.
No, but I think as knowing Mia and having Mia in your house, like she was just blaming. She found someone to blame. I feel
of course.
With the sister, Jade. With Jade, I still don't think you can blame Mia. Can you imagine? Your mother's committed suicide.
Yes.
And you don't know if it was an accident, if it wasn't, if she intentionally left you, or if she didn't. And that person just starts speaking to you.
I know.
And I know I'm biased, dude. But like, if someone that you lose suddenly, unexpected like that, just dies and they just start speaking to you, from her perspective, I was like, you can't blame her for this.
For one,
no, I'm not blaming her at all. But it's also it's both sides of the coin, right? You can't blame her, but also how.
I don't think she knew.
I think how much how much leniency do you give somebody that's going through grief, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, let's say like you cut me or something because like you went through, like you hurt me still. I know, like I can understand where you're coming from, but you still fucking hurt me, type of thing. So it's like I can understand, but that doesn't absolve you from what you did.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. I think that's why it's tough when it comes to grief or trauma or something like that. It was like I can fully understand where you're coming from, but that doesn't mean that you didn't do something wrong.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think it was her fault because I think she was so lost in the moment. Yes, she maybe should have been more conscious at the time, but I think she was just disassociating from the entire event and was just.
Well, technically speaking too, she did start talking to him, to her mom, who was possessing Riley at this point in time, and there still was plenty of time on that clock.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Riley decides, I know. Well, then like super ghost stuff starts happening, like doors closing, and he's like slides across the room in this chair, like it's like a force that now hits him all of a sudden, and then he just starts smashing his head into a wall on the table, and just absolutely just over and over and over again smashing his head. It's brutal.
That's great.
It's great. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So hats off to those makeup people because that
was one of the brothers, like that was big, like that's one of those, like that was a signature thing, right? So most directors have their like Spike Lee has a dolly, Tarantino has feet, like
and good movies.
But it was like I think that's what they're kind of known for. That like this scene with Riley and him like kind of the pain inflicted that he was doing on himself, like that's what they're known for.
Yeah,
it's quite the scene.
It is quite the scene.
My whole theater was covering their faces, and I don't cover my faces too much. I watch a Serbian film, so like I don't, I can stand a lot. Even I was like, oh, this is hard to watch.
Just having him just slam it over and over again.
At one point, he grabs his eyeball.
Like
pull his eyeball
out a little bit.
Yeah.
So they do eventually get the handoff, but by this point in time, it's been like 2 minutes. And a lot longer time.
And they weren't able to blow out the candle, correct?
They weren't 100%
That's
sure.
ambiguous, though.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's just one of those things, obviously, that we'll play in later as one point.
Yeah. So chaos ensues, obviously, and then they all go. They obviously take Riley to the hospital. You see the cops are talking to everyone and getting statements, like Haley and her friend, or their friend. Yes, I should say their friend. Yeah, their friend. They skedaddle.
It's so funny because they're like, we gotta come with a story now. Like, what are we saying? What are we talking about?
Absolutely.
Like, out. And they're talking the rest of the way.
I got it. But we see them like one more time briefly, and again they're like, "Well, good luck. Catch you later." Finger guns. And then
I was like, oh, it translates there.
Right, but then Mia takes the hand because Mia's silly, and takes the hand and goes back to her place for a little bit. Her father again tries to talk. I think there's another. Throughout this, her father and her talk a few times.
Wait, so let's backtrack a little bit because so the mom at the hospital does say you gave him drugs.
Well, she goes to I think she went home first, and then from the home.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
And then from the home, she went to the hospital hospital.
Yes,
And then the mom and Jade were like, why the hell are you here? Get away. Never see us again. You did this to him. It's your fault. We hate you. Never come back. Which is then also even harder for Mia because she's still trying to figure out grief for her mother. And now her other family is
now she has nowhere to go.
Yeah. And like a few times, I can't remember the exact, there have been some interactions with her father, but they have not gone well.
Right.
But we do know, I think around this time, that her mother had like wood underneath her fingernails or something like that, or her father was trying to break in the door when the mother passed. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening right here. So she does go back to the hospital, and then this is when Daniel offers her a ride home, right? Yes. So then Daniel gives her a ride back from the hospital, and as any two platonic friends do, they sleep in the same bed. But like, I don't like. Is this like that doesn't make sense to me? Does that make sense to other people?
The way they tried to explain it.
And they sleep like head to foot.
If you're truly platonic, though, I think it's okay. They are not truly platonic. They dated before.
Yeah,
she's made jokes like since he's been dating Jade, so like it's not platonic. And I think when he got possessed, his ghost talked about how like remember he was humping the floor, looking right at her. So there's something more still there.
Absolutely.
They're not platonic.
Yeah.
But
because I can say too, like I agree. Yes, I have slept in the same bed as like a platonic female friend before, but that was also like when there was nowhere else to go, or like on a trip somewhere or something else. Not when like all the man has to do is just hop in his car and head on home.
But remember, he talks about it in his car. He says, I can't go home because I'm supposed to be at my cousin's house tonight. And that's when she says, well, you can stay with me.
Gotcha.
And that's why he does make that decision.
Gotcha.
But when shit goes down, he still goes home. So he can go home.
So he could have went home. So then they go to sleep, and then Mia has this weird kind of like almost out-of-body experience where Mia, like, Mia wakes up even though she's not really awake, and she sees the ghost, that bald woman, in the corner of the room. Was pretty creepy scene. Then Mia like gets up and like is in the corner of the room, and bald woman like runs over, like waddles over. It's kind of funny, but like waddles over with her little baldness, and then just starts sucking on Daniel's toes, just going to town on these toes.
I think it might also be like a metaphor for the drug use things. You know, when you're using drugs, you like hallucinate and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that also was probably like kind of a metaphor.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely. So we're like, what the hell? Mia's like trying to scream and say, get off him, what's going on? Daniel doesn't seem to be waking up from Mia screaming, but then Daniel does wake up because he feels someone sucking his toes, but he looks up and it's Mia, just enjoying it. And you know, people with foot fetishes, Quentin Tarantino would approve. I'm sorry, Mr. Tarantino, he made the joke first. Sorry, please, you know. I know you're listening to this, I apologize. But yeah, so then Daniel's like, what the hell is going on with this? Then he freaks out, he leaves. Then, after he leaves, still around this time, Mia then uses the hand to try and commune with her mother. And you see Rhea, her mother, looking kind of normal, all things considered. Like, you know, she still is clearly a ghost. She has, like, dark circles under her eyes and, like, etc. But she doesn't look like a bald woman or, like, super fucked up like other people. And then she's telling her that Riley's in danger. They have Riley. He's in pain forever. This is very bad. I would have never killed myself. That's not the truth. And then they like cuddle up on the bed together. And then they go to sleep because Mia is still looking for some kind of solace, and she finds it in her ghost mother, or the ghost's ghost. So from here, they're now trying to figure stuff out because Riley's not getting better. Whenever Riley's trying to get better, he's still like, will look like he's better for a quick second, then he'll just start bashing his head in again. So then all of them, Jade, Mia, Daniel, Haley's friend who originally got it, he says he originally got it from this guy, Duckett. So they go to find Duckett's brother, and they chat with him for a little bit.
Who survived that?
Who survived, yeah.
That was just the heart.
Nah, that wasn't the heart, that was a lung. That's fine. So they talk to him, and then what Cole, Duckett's brother, says is that give it time, and then the ghost's power will lessen, and then the ghost will always try to trick you and act like they're not, and they'll lie to you, and they'll look like they're not, you know. And obviously, this is not the case for Mia because, you know, that wouldn't happen to Mia. You know, the ghost wouldn't trick her. That's not nice.
Something I liked, too, about this, like, you know how we always see these Ouija movies or these haunting movies or these possession movies. There's always this extended, like, point in the movie where it's all this exposition and we're getting all this, like, They're doing research and they're
going
to the library.
They ought to go to some specialist.
They're studying. They're going to the library. They're reading up on stuff, and it takes up a chunk of the movie, and we don't need that. And this movie is a perfect example. I think that's why it's so well constructed. We don't need any of that.
Nope.
This is the most we get.
Because mystery draws you.
Right. But and this is the most background we get, and I think it worked fine.
Absolutely.
Stop making these 45. Even what was the Bye Bye Man? It was like 35.
It was called the Bye Bye Man. Let's stop right there. What 6-year-old was like? What is it called? The Bye Bye Man. What a man.
But the Bye Bye Man. Shut the fuck up. If you don't shut the fuck up, Timmy, I swear to God.
I know you want to watch more Paw Patrol. Bye Bye Man.
No, I just think it's a perfect example of how
very quick, very easy, seamless.
And that was probably 5 minutes, and it worked. And then you get right back to the scares, right back to the story. We don't need this research. I don't care where it came from. I don't care where the hand comes.
Because the more definition you give to it, the less the mystique is taken away from it and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, I like the mystery of this because of the fact that what is going on? Like you said, it was like who did the research on the 90 seconds and the candle and even the talk to me and the let me in type shit. You answering these questions takes away from the greatness of this.
It's an hour and 30. We only got a certain amount of time as it is. We don't need any of that.
And it was a perfect length for this movie, for the record. An hour and 30 was a perfect length for this. So this is when Haley and her friend are like, well, good luck with all that shit. You're like, oh man, geez, bro, that sucks. Well, see ya. They're just out. So they just bounce, do their own thing now. Okay, cool. We never see them again. They then go to Riley's room and they light the candle. Mia tries to have a little conversation with one of this little girl ghost that pops up, who we think is on her side, but when you really think of it, no, fuck no, she's not. It's another ghost trick.
I think it's still cool though that they kind of not deviate from the rules a little bit, but now the ghost says, "I let you in." And then Mia goes into the ghost and sees what she sees, and she's able to see Riley just being torn apart.
It's this huge fleshy room. He's just surrounded by weird flesh. That's and he's screaming and there's blood and flesh everywhere. And it's really the only way to describe it is just flesh. There's just meaty, torn apart flesh everywhere. Yeah. And she's like, well, he's really suffering. This is really bad. They still blew out the candle, but they also still say, well, hey, Cole told us that as long as we leave him alone, as long as we leave it alone, the ghost will kind of go away. So Jade and Daniel kind of take that as fact, and then they're like, all right, well, go home. And they're like, hey, Mia, you should keep the hand. Which, again, for the love of God, so many people, there's so many times where it's just take the hand from this girl, man. Come on. And, she probably would have attacked them if they did try, for sure. But, anyway, so then she goes home, and this is where she has the interaction with her father now, who the father's like, no, I'm so sorry. I should have given you this forever ago, but this was from your mother the day she killed herself. Or it's her mom's suicide note. And while she's reading the suicide note, and you're like, damn, this is such, because it was and it's a really hard to read or listen to note, because the mom is like, I finally feel better today, and I finally feel today won't be the day where it is a day where I'm out of the despair a little bit. But really what that meant was that day of better energy gave the mom enough energy to actually finally end it, and that's just so awful. But yeah, so then while she's reading that note though, you hear Mia's ghost mom whisper, it's a lie. He's lying to you. I would never. Because she told her earlier that she did not commit suicide.
Right.
So Mia doesn't believe this because Mia doesn't know what to believe right now. She clearly doesn't have a great relationship with her father. She hears these voices in her head that she thinks it's actually her mother telling her that she didn't do it. So she goes to kind of try and lock herself in the room. And then all of a sudden you get this banging on the door and just banging, and it looks like it's her father banging on the door for a split second. But then when it actually breaks open, it's clearly a ghost father of sorts. And what's going on too is her real father is still in the living room. He can't hear any of this, but he does hear something when Mia starts struggling, because the ghost father starts strangling Mia and just starts strangling her, and then everything's going on. So now real dad, it's oh fuck, I hear something. He runs, starts trying to break down the door, very similar to the beginning of the movie, because when ghosts are here, they lock doors. And so Mia thinks it's still the ghost that's strangling her, or maybe even thinks that's her real father who's strangling her, because now with the ghost in her ear, she thinks maybe her father killed her mother. Yeah. And there's a pair of scissors right there, and she just stabs the fuck out of him in the neck.
Yeah, that was I called that. So that's all the scissors. I'm like, yeah, she's gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna stab with the scissors. Yeah.
And if I'm her point too, like I think it's easier to believe what's less painful for you to digest. Like, yes, okay, so your dad's coming to you and saying, I should have showed you this from the jump. Here's this letter, mom wrote this. But it's probably easier to believe this ghost mom that's saying, I would never leave you.
Yeah, I love you.
I would never make you go through this, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's why she kind of...
Yeah, and with all the animosity she's had with her dad and all like the distance, maybe she has started to believe when ghost mom's whispering, oh, dad killed me. You know what I mean? Like she can kind of start believing that.
Which really goes back to like the grief and this overall theme of what like untreated trauma, what it leads to. You know?
Absolutely. So it's rough. She gets stabbed, and then they're saying, hey, you need to let Riley go. The only one way for Riley to survive, so that way the ghost won't keep torturing him forever, is if you kill him, basically.
But what do we know? We know that if you die while a spirit is in you, that's it.
Yes.
You're there. You're there forever.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, mom is going to try to get you to kill Riley. Because
still shaking the dark on him.
Talking about ghosts.
Yeah.
But yeah, mom's gonna try to.
Hey, that won't work on ghosts.
Ghosts can't go through the doors. They're not fire.
But like you know, mom's gonna try to convince you that if you kill Riley, like he'll be okay because they want to possess him forever.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely. So
but she's not getting that.
Yeah. So she goes, and it's even worse because when she goes back to the hospital now, Riley and Jade's mom is there, and she's like, oh, he's getting better, and I am so sorry of how I treated you. Like, and she's apologizing. Actually, well, Mia also calls Jade and says, hey, I have something I need to talk to you about or something, and she gets Jade to, like, go to her house. Then she's talking with Jade's mom, and again, Jade's mom is so apologetic and trying to make up for the fact that she was so, you know, mean to her, which, you know, kind of rightfully so in certain aspects. Yeah. And then Mia's like, oh, well, thank you so much, but can you, like, can you leave the room? That way I can have an alone moment with Riley. So Jade is now goes into her house, and she sees that Mia's father's been stabbed in the neck. He's still alive, which honestly kind of makes sense because it's just a pair of scissors in the neck. It's just a one little incision. Yeah. So that she's like, holy shit, what the fuck? Jade calls her mom, and she's like, Mia is dangerous. She's a danger to Riley. And she's like, oh, she was fine. She was just here. She goes in the room. Oh, because Mia was looking at Riley. She had the scissors in her hand, but couldn't do it.
And we know from, she is not able to put people out of their misery, quote unquote.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Great parallel with that as well. So Jade and Riley's mom goes back in for a quick second. Riley and Mia are no longer there because Mia has taken him away, and then they don't know where though. Jade comes in the parking lot, and then she just sees the corner of Mia pushing Riley in a wheelchair up this big hill by a freeway. And then you do start seeing like the little flashes of the kangaroo now at this point in time as well. And then Mia pushes Riley down the hill, and it's so close. It is so close to her pushing him into traffic. So that way, because she can't end his misery, but all these cars sure as fuck will. But ghosts get too damn cocky, and they're like, do it, and we'll have him forever. And they just like spoil it for the last second, and she's like, oh fuck, wait a second. And then she jumps in front of traffic instead. Which I wonder if she didn't have to though. I mean, I guess she was kind of like at this point she stabbed her father, at least Ghost father. She's at the end of her rope. I was because it is, you don't see her jump in front of traffic, but you just kind of know she does.
Right. I mean, it's also very open for interpretations. There's other people that think that Jade did it. That Jade
fair.
I don't think it was that.
I don't think it was too.
Because throughout I think they're pushing this whole grief thing, and what untreated trauma really can come to, or what if you think that that it's still a metaphor for drugs, maybe that was the end for her. So I don't think it was Jade, but a lot of people do think that Jade got there first and pushed her into traffic.
Gotcha.
I didn't. It's not on screen.
Yeah.
So it's open for interpretation.
And solely from a screen scenario, Jade is at the very top of the hill.
Right.
And Mia's there with Riley in the wheelchair, and then that's when the ghosts say, and we'll have him forever. So Jade is still at the top of the hill. So I don't think she could have really gotten there.
Yeah.
In time. So I do think agreed of which makes it even sadder of the drug metaphor of a lot of times drug addicts, when they realize they're at the end of their rope and they can't sink any lower, they kill themselves. So I think that was kind of more of her going in. But we don't see it. It's not on screen. But what we do see with Mia is she stands up and she is has a tire track on her. She's all kinds of super beat up. Yeah. And then we get this weird kind of time skip situation almost of her kind of wandering around. And then she's in a hospital. And then as she's in the hospital, She's trying to talk to people. She's trying to, see people, and no one can see her. But we see, Jade, Riley, and their mother. They pack up.
Riley gets better.
Gets better, which for him to get better means some significant time has passed. Almost.
I mean,
it
blood
seems
force
like.
trauma to the head. He's at least going to be a little not 100. I don't think. So.
Yeah, but so he apparently gets better, and then they're walking out. Mia sees her father in there. She's screaming for her father. He starts walking out and completely ignores her, and then she's like trying to chase down everything in this hospital. Lights just start going out one at a time, just light, until she's left in pitch black darkness. And then, God, I fucking love this. I fucking love this.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. I knew exactly what it was as soon as I saw it, but it was so good. Is super far away in the distance, you see the light of a candle. And then she's like, this is the only light she sees in this pitch black area. And then she just starts going right towards that light. And then all of a sudden she finds the light, and you hear someone say, talk to me. And then all of a sudden she's in a room, in like the same kind of party scenario. They're saying in a different language. I'm not 100% sure what language it was.
Yeah.
But you see a bunch of people. The dude who is holding the hand is clearly freaked out, and he's looking at Mia, who is still looks like she got run over, but not as bad. She still doesn't look like Bog Woman, but she's still like. And then he says, "I let you in," and end.
It was such a great ending.
I thought, it did.
Perfection.
I thought it was a great ending as well.
Wouldn't have chose anything else besides that.
Yeah. Shae, something that Mike and I have started doing at the end of these two is if we don't touch on it at the end while we're giving like the plot summary, any specific likes or dislikes that you didn't get a chance to talk about now. Is there anything that you didn't really get a chance to talk about yet, or did we kind of cover most of it? Totally fine either way.
No, I think actually we covered all of it.
Hell yeah.
All of my notes. So yeah, look at y'all.
Beautiful.
You're doing good. Yeah. And I feel like there's little things, but I'm trying to be better about not nitpicking at like films. Like if I like it overall, and there's like a few things I would have changed, I like the movie. It's a good fucking movie. Go see it. Like there's.
Especially, I think with that ending too. I think oftentimes, and maybe it speaks to it because of the fact that it's not necessarily an American film, but with that ending, right? You would assume, all right, they wrapped everything nice with a bow. Riley's good, her dad's good, but no, it is like her suffering from the consequences of her actions. And it was just like I think I can enjoy that because one, it's realistic, but it's also not something you were expecting.
Right.
And I think we talked about this earlier with the fact that it was like so many horror movies, there's so many tropes and things you expect that it actually takes away from the horror elements or even storytelling. So I think international films do it a lot better than American films, where it's just tell a great story. Stop trying to coddle the audience.
You don't need to make it a happy ending.
Right.
Because
it was like, you're right. With that ending, it was like, holy, because as someone who watched the film, right, it's only an hour and a half, but as someone who has sat through this film, you're like, oh, I know what's going on here type shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something you know from the real world. You know it from the world that this movie created.
And I was just left being like, wow. Yeah. Like I was like, it was great.
It was great. And I remember thinking though, I'm mad I didn't figure that out. Like
I'm mad
I didn't think that was gonna happen.
I think it's because of the fact that you're so used to an American movie.
Right.
You're so used to, oh, thank God Riley's good. Like,
It's like what Mia, like
we cleaned
Mia's
everything up.
No.
That's
Mia's
so
how the next
obvious
goes.
that was going to be the ending.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, I'm like, oh, that was going to be the ending. But you didn't figure it out. And that makes a good movie. I don't want to know the ending. So.
Yeah. So that was Talk to Me, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. What we always like to do at the end is just give our initial reviews a quick review. Shae, you gave it a 4 out of 5. Are you sticking with the 4 out of 5?
Yeah.
You changing it?
No, it's great.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with my 4 out of 5 as well. I thought it was really good. Definitely. Mike, from listening to the storytelling of all of this.
From storytelling, I can see why people really enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think there's certain ones, at least the Riley Flesh stuff, him slamming his head, like as far as how much horror I can stomach, and this is definitely not one of those.
Yeah.
Because if it's not gore, it is like something that's visceral. I can't do.
Yeah.
But from just a storytelling standpoint, from like understanding grief and making it more tangible for somebody outside of yourself, I can really I feel like this is a really good storytelling from these brothers, and it's interesting that it is a directorial debut. Like I said, we've had a few this year, and like all of them have been pretty great. It does show shine a light to like what's to be expected from not only these actors but the directors.
So Mike's saying he likes elevated horror. But yeah, it was good. I like it. A24, God, A24, man. Yeah. So, again, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We are the Meddling Kids. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at 2MeddlingKids on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at 2MeddlingKids@gmail.com. Shae, how can they reach out to you if they'd like to?
I'm on Instagram at Shae Rudolph, and like I said, I'll have something in November, so...
Awesome, love it. Mike, how can I reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Excellent. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I am at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram, and Hunt.comics on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with a brand new movie. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye!
Hell yeah, team.
Look it up.